Welcome to the No Flop Zone. You're taking time out with me, Boti Nagy, and the always dashing and sometimes dangerous Joey Wright as we talk about what's been going on in the NBL off-season. Well, let's try and do it in order, chronological order. The first major thing that happened was Stu Lash.
Stu Lash.
Yeah, not goulash, not Hungarian food, but they went all over the world. Brisbane Bullets went all over the world, every corner of the globe, and they found him in the back room. Oh, there he is. Like Paul Henare was up for that job. I mean, yeah. Paul Henare, if you want to change your culture.
That's a great coach right there. We all know Paulie can coach his butt off. This is, I'll never say because I don't know the guy. No. I've never seen him, haven't seen him. All right, so I won't know if he's a good coach or a bad coach. Just the integrity of the process is compromised if the person that was looking for the job ends up getting the job. Like, he's the one that's screening and doing all the, I don't know if he's good enough. I don't know. And then he signs up. Like, I think the integrity of the process is compromised then. Again,
I don't think he's got any coaching experience in his background. He's been involved with a number of clubs. And once you put that NBA thing on your resume, everybody in Australia gets a bit excited. But he hasn't coached.
I think coaching matters. I mean, you have to go through those sidelines for the pressure that it's going to be immersed upon him. If he hadn't been through that before, it's going to make him act in certain different kind of ways. I mean, all of us that coach, we have to go through a process of learning first.
Hell yeah.
And we usually do that on the court, and then we usually do that in a assistant coach's role, and then we do that, we move on to a head coaching role. But just being a guy that's sitting on the sideline going, nah, I think they should have did that, that's totally different.
Yeah, I know. That's called journalism. All right. We promised you we'd talk a bit about the Sydney Kings this week. And, of course, the big news was Matthew Dellavedova signing with the Kings, which we did predict that going to Brian Goorjian and Andrew Bogut, we played against for NBA championships, that would be a good environment for him. But 3 years?
Yeah, I think the thing about it, Delly's going to play hard no matter what for the next couple years. And then when his body can't, do the same things he does now, you're going to have a veteran leader on that bench that's willing to, be selfless and direct people and help people out. So, having him around for 3 years in any capacity is going to be good for Sydney.
Yeah, but I think he's thinking that he's going to get to the Los Angeles Olympics. That's his goal. Mm-hmm. He'd be 37 then.
And he should be thinking that.
Okay, and lots of people have said throughout his career he'll never play college basketball. He got his singlet retired. That's how good he was. He'll never make the NBA. He did. He'll never win a championship. He did. So anything you say about Delly, he does disprove it when you go against him. But I just think if in Los Angeles we're relying on a 37-year-old, we're in trouble because we've got Dyson Daniels, Josh Giddey, Taron Armstrong. You just keep going through them.
Yeah, it's going to be some great players there for whatever reason, but that doesn't stop what he should be thinking. Like, in order for you to be successful at this highest level, you have to have delusional confidence, and that delusional confidence comes to a head at some point. All right, but if Delly didn't have delusional confidence, he would have never made the NBA because he had to think irrational in order to make the NBA. So I think he should be thinking that, and he's going to go out there and play like it in the next couple of years. The actuality of that happen is probably, I don't think he'll.
But we should never bet against him. Okay, so I know that Brian Goorjian and Billy Tomlinson, his friend and one of the assistant coaches, they're going to go to Summer League in search of a big, in terms of imports, a big and a combo guard. Yep. And then they bring back guys like Kwat Noi, Bulkwell. I mean, the basis is sort of there. Xavier Cooks, I think he'll be given a pass. He's got some trust to win back. He let some people down, but I think they're going to be in okay shape.
I think in that group, Xavier will be fine. Like, he'll mix in that group, and they respect him in that group, so I think he'll be fine. Them bringing in imports at the positions that are scoring, a two-guard scoring position, I definitely think they need it. But remember, they did have some injury last year. And that injury, LePepe, that kind of, that derailed them for a little bit there. And so they're going to bring some guys back. They're off injury. They bring some new guys in. I think next year is probably a better year for them.
Okay. Is there anything you think they desperately need?
They need to get Jalen Adams out of there. Then they do.
Well, I think he is well and truly gone.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the biggest thing for him and Cam out of there. Cam Oliver and him out of there.
Cam Oliver was more of a problem. I think Jalen Adams did have legitimate back issues at various times during the year. So
No, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm only going for what we need for my import on the court. And even if you got a bad back, I know what bad body language looks like. And he had that along with a bad back, apparently.
All right, Adelaide. Flynn Cameron, huge signing.
Yeah, huge signing. That's a great signing for Adelaide. I think it's a great signing. He's, to me, one of the up-and-coming young professionals in this league. I think he can go and play in the big leagues. His size is, where'd you see him in person? His size, he's got great size on him. He's a player that I like for these reasons. One, highly intellectual. He's very, very smart. Highly competitive and highly skilled. Yeah. So that's what you want in a player.
I have seen him. I saw him in Melbourne Airport this other day when I was seeing my daughter off to Colombia. He walked past. I thought, oh, that's Flynn Cameron. He's taller than I thought.
Look, I've been around Flynn since he was 4 or 5 years old. His dad coached for me. His dad played for me. Yeah. So I've been around him growing up forever. And I saw him at Summer Jam, and he spoke to me, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I turned around, kept watching the game, and then I walked away, walked back, and said, I'm sorry, Flynn. I did not realize he was so tall. Like the last time I seen him, he was 6'1", 6'2". He's closer to 6'5", and good size on him.
But what is he? Is he a 1, a 2, a 3? I've had this discussion today.
He's smart enough to play the 1, but he's been always been so gifted at scoring that he, people slide him over to the 2 very easily. But he's very intelligent. Like he can run the 1. He understands rhythm and flow of the game. He can knows who's hot, who's not. He can set up pick and rolls and dribble handoffs. So he'll be fine playing the 1 and the 2.
What I like that Adelaide has done is brought back some Adelaide players. Michael Harris from Perth and Isaac White from Brisbane. Isaac can play the 1 as well, so you're starting to develop some options.
I like both of those kids, Michael Harris and Isaac White. I love both of them as people and players. I don't, the fact that they are from Adelaide, I don't necessarily
you don't get that. I know you don't get that because you got that American culture.
Because I've traveled the world. I can't be so colloquial. I can't look You can, and I give y'all can do it all you want, but it's just a blind spot. That's all it is. No. It's a blind spot. You got to look. In an international competition, we have to look international. Yeah,
I'm not saying you shouldn't, but in towns like Adelaide, like in 1985, when we had the first 36ers team that was united, right? That was all Adelaide players and a couple of imports, and that place was packed all the time because people had watched a Darryl Pearce from South Adelaide Juniors, South Adelaide Seniors, and now he's playing for the 36ers, or a Mike Mackay, and you'd follow these guys' careers, and there's a connection to them, a parochialism that exists. I mean, it doesn't exist in the US because you're so used to being born in New York and going to college in Louisiana.
We're used to what the NBL has to grow into. We have to have people show up on that court and be on that team that all people come to see, not just here. And I think it's already happening. Like they sold out most games last year with a roster that wasn't necessarily from Adelaide.
Yeah, but the other thing you don't allow for is those kids that are from Adelaide playing for Adelaide. They're playing in front of family and friends. They have greater passion than the mercenary that's playing here this year, Brisbane next year, and Cairns the year after.
That's underselling. That's underselling. I was all the way from Chicago, and it wasn't one single Australian on my team that played with more passion than me. I don't care. No, when you're a ball player, you play with passion. Period.
Stick around. We got some footage of Joey playing with some passion a little bit later in the program. You can't see that at all. That these guys would dive that extra, are prepared to skin their knees.
They're not. They didn't grow up like that. That's not something that I think they look at and say, "Oh, the 36ers, I would die for them." I don't think that whole mentality is gone. It's the world of basketball is too international for people to focus on that any time now. Now I know it's people like you that'll love it. All 30 of you guys come out because that's all it is. It's about not. 30, 35 of you going, we want local players. That's it.
No, it's not. It's not. Feel free to comment when you're subscribing.
All 35 of y'all. We have to have more than 35 comments. If we don't get more than 35 comments, so what?
Okay, Shea Ili. Yeah. Big signing back for United. Never thought there was any doubt. Same with Cole Bowen. Yeah. And they're chasing Joe Luala-Chul, which I think is a good person to chase.
Be a great person to chase.
Get him back. What about Lachlan Olbrich at Illawarra declaring for the draft? Do you think that's premature?
I don't know. I don't know how the rules work now. I don't know if it's a certain age that he had to jump in or not. I would have loved to see him one more year,
Yep, same.
and then declare for the draft. But the way it works now, so many people go in through free agency now in the NBA versus back in the early 90s and 80s. You went through contractually most times and not through the free agent route. A lot more guys go in and out of the NBA now. So maybe he's looking at, even if he doesn't make it, G League, bump up and down, that kind of thing.
Yep. Okay, they also re-signed Todd Blanchfield for 3 years. Honestly, I thought that was the end. I thought he's played well. Time to sort of ride off into the sunset. 3 more years, he's going to be 57 or something. I don't know. What is he bringing now? Like, I'm sorry, Todd, I loved you, but it's time to go.
I think it's that whole thing, having that veteran guy there at the end of the bench is not going to cause any chaos. I mean, at one point in time, I put a veteran guy at the end of the bench that I thought would cause no chaos and cause a lot of chaos. You want someone there that you can trust, and if he trusts him to be that veteran guy, to come in, probably not play as much, not give me heat to play, but when he does play well, Todd's your guy.
You don't want to mention any names of who that guy was? No? Okay.
Oh, not name worthy.
Hey?
Not name worthy.
No. Mark, if you're watching. All right, and Sam Froling re-signed as we expected. I think there was a lot of noise, the usual sort of media speculation, we'll go to Sydney, because people can't get past that. But I never thought he'd do anything but re-sign.
Yeah, I never thought he'd do anything but re-sign there, and why would he go anywhere else? They have an owner that can pay him, a coach that loves him, and they just won a championship. It'd be stupid to go anywhere else.
Right. Okay, Petteri Koponen is back as coach of New Zealand.
Yeah.
They've signed Ruben Tarangi. Ruben. Another one. You're done, mate. Thank you. Go. Like, he's going to play 3 good games and a good quarter here and there.
Do you know a competitive basketball player that's just going to walk away? If a team say, hey, come back, I'll pay you. What'd you say? Yeah, I'll be right back. 3 years? 3. Okay, let's go.
And the word is that Parker Jackson-Cartwright is on the move.
Yeah.
You heard anything?
I haven't heard anything. It'd be great for him to get back there, but might end up in Adelaide.
You think?
Nah.
All right. Nick Marshall from Adelaide, Ben Eyre from South East at the Jack Jumpers. Good moves.
I think those are both Jack Jumper type players, and great for both of them. They can go down there and get coach really well, and I think they'll do good things.
They've released Fabian Krislovic. Are you surprised by that?
A little bit. I thought, he's probably a guy that you can keep around, but they obviously have something in store. So they do a good job of recruiting and bringing people in, all except their import last year. I thought was a bust both times, but we'll see. Yeah,
because I'm sort of looking at Scott Roth. He's a very smart guy, and he's got 4 good years out of Krislovic, and maybe that's it now. We might have seen the best of Fabian.
Yeah, and Fabian actually probably has some opportunity to play in Europe as well on a passport. So,
okay, let's go to the Billionaire Wars with the Hawks owner Jared Novelly taking on Larry Kestelman, the NBL owner, and saying that he's a little bit concerned. Well, more than a little bit concerned. Obviously, he's approached FIBA to try and sort of get some sort of investigation about some of the finances and how they're going. Have you been following this?
I have been following it, and this is my number one reason, or the top 3 reasons why I don't want to coach in NBL again is the transparency and the changing of rules mid-season, or just ignoring rules. In my lifetime as a coach there, I don't subscribe to that. Like, set the rules at the beginning of the year, and then for that year, no matter what, that's what we do. And then at the end of the year, it's your league, Larry. If you want to change the rules, you change them. But changing them midway through, and I never felt good about that.
Well, since Jared Novelly came out, we've had this magnificent article appear in most papers around Australia, where we're quoting such luminaries as Josh Giddey, who probably knows a lot about the finances of NBL clubs. And Dyson Daniels, great players, but talking about, again, how well Larry has done. Now, I want to put this in some perspective. Larry saved the league. Of that, there's no doubt. And he's invested a lot of money, and the league's taken a higher profile. These are all good things. But that doesn't mean that there aren't anomalies and some situations. I mean, we can't ignore constantly the conflict of interest.
It's definitely a conflict of interest. I mean, there's no way that you can own a league, own a team, pay the referees. You know, I don't know that he has betting companies, offshore betting companies or whatever, but that was mentioned somewhere. I don't know that to be true at all. But if these things are happening, and I know, you know, the sentiment that the league persisted with when I was there was, you know, we can do whatever we want. We're the league. We can do whatever we want. So whatever you're talking about, that rule you're citing, doesn't matter to us. I've been told that to my face, you know. So I know that to be true, and I don't like that. Like, I can't deal with that. So I think it should be a look into it. I would say in front of everybody, Larry has done tremendously great things for this league.
Could not agree more.
He's done great things for the league. Now, he's taken some credit when he shouldn't have. He's you know, probably massaged some things the wrong way, but overall he's done a great job for the league, and you know, hopefully they can get it balanced out.
This kind of PR article, you know, 2-page spread where you're quoting Eddie Maguire, who from memory has had nothing to do with basketball, and for years has tried to bury our sport from memory.
Exactly.
And we got
I saw that. That was bullshit.
And the agent of the two guys that we've mentioned also saying, oh, it's all wonderful, and I'm sure he's been sending the odd player to EuroLeague or somewhere else during the course of his time. So this sort of PR article just tells one side of the story, but what does interest me and does stand out to me is Andrew Vlahov's commentary, and I take that seriously, and also the fact that Jared Novelli has said that 7 of the owners are in agreement, but not one has come out in support. That disturbs me a little bit.
I mean, Vlahov's statement is basically Larry's done a great job with the league, and he has. So we can all say that, but at what cost? When I played in this league, or when I decided to come to this league, I was coming from Europe, and I've seen some things happen in Europe that just wasn't right. Scoreboards going out, you know, buses that won't start, you know, just some crazy stuff to interrupt the games. And I was coming from Indiana, basketball pure place. All right, I was coming from playing collegiate basketball at Texas.
They're a bit parochial in Indiana, aren't they? No, they don't love Larry Bird.
We love everybody that can play basketball. I was coming from some area, you know, college basketball where basketball is really pure, and I went to Europe, and I was just really blown away at how some of the things were happening. But when I came to Australia, it was the closest thing to integrity that I had seen in basketball outside of my collegiate years and the NBA or those leagues. So I came here, I saw that, and I love that. You know, I didn't care that this team might be a little better than my team or had bigger players. We had an opportunity to beat them fair and square, and that's the way it was. But now, or after coaching, you know, in the league for a while, I didn't feel that way. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be out.
Okay, well, we're going to watch developments with great interest, because now the league has got insolvency specialist Corda Mentha sort of looking into Illawarra. It's almost like, oh, you're going to have a go at us, or we're going to have a go at you. And it's just tit for tat stuff.
Oh, is that what's happening now?
Yeah. And really just sit down at a table and sort it out.
I thought Wollongong's owner pulled the biggest move of the tournament.
Yeah, you said.
I thought that was huge, standing up to Larry at that particular time and making sure all eyes was on that game and nothing silly happened, because I've heard before, it's my league, I can do whatever I want. Not anymore.
Okay, it's to viewers' topics now, and we've got Juice Lover, very kindly says, good show, guys. Do you think more teams may look at a fourth import as an injury replacement player, like Perth did with Todd Withers? He said, I think it was a genius move from Perth. There are quality imports in the NBL one that could be handy. When a team has 2 injured imports, they are often screwed.
Yeah, it's great if you can afford that. Like, that's not been a luxury that every team can afford. Perth's a team that typically could afford that, but not everyone.
Okay, good. Nectiap says the MVP voting, the rule should simply be the winner is the person with the most votes from the winning team. Yeah, I think we covered that last week.
Yes, 100%. You're right.
Okay, Glenn Thomas says the MVP voting system is fundamentally flawed. Voting 3-2-1 each game is how you determine the most consistent player, not the most valuable. There's no doubt Will Hickey's performances, particularly in games 4 and 5, are what turned the series and ultimately led to securing the championship. I had to chuckle when Delhi won the grand final MVP in a losing side. This is the point. Yeah. When the NBL absolutely never awards a player of the game to a player on the losing side. So every game that's covered, so we get the player of the game and whoever the sponsor of that is. He says even when Bryce went off for 40 plus in a losing team this season and was clearly the best player on the court, he didn't get it. So why would you change that
for the finals?
For the most important
I don't know.
That's good work there.
Great job.
Glenn Thomas, thank you for that. That's good. We like that. Ballaholics back with compliments us on another great show. Thank you. Appreciate that. Joey, you've mentioned no more coaching. Would you do it overseas if a team approached you and let you pick the roster and stay out of it, or is it still a hard no?
That's not a hard no, but it had to be a great situation. I just think right now, I've seen too many coaches that go from coaching, retirement to death. All right. Yeah. That time in between retirement and death, it's not good for a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
One, we end up being a strong person in most people's lives. So people usually walk away and think, oh, coach is good. Coach is good. He's all right. Coach is good. That group of people that you've hung around for the last 10 or 15 years that were younger than you because you were the leader, you were the go, they start going off doing their life and doing things and happening. And all of a sudden it's this lonely man sitting there that's used to a lot of control, that had a lot. I've seen more than 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 coaches really go into a space at the in between coaching and death. And I don't want to be in that space.
Yeah, even as you're talking, I'm seeing Greg Popovich.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about it, not the people will love them and they'll give him a tremendous respect for helping them out. And when he passes away, they'll show up at the funeral and they'll go, great, he was unbelievable to me. But rarely would he know that, and rarely did he get to live that life that they get to live from all those spoils. So I just want to be something else before I go. I want to be something else.
Well, what about an author? Write a memoir. I'll help you.
I told you, we've been through this. I never think my life's exciting enough for anybody to want to read about it, to be honest with you. It's just a lot more. My life is not nearly as exciting as people think it is.
Okay. All right. Well, we won't talk about the fish you caught in the Riverland. Just last week. Okay. He says, sometimes the NBL media brings up travel fatigue when a team loses. Do you guys think NBL teams can complain about that, given they play 1 or 2 games a week, while the NBA counterparts do 3, 4 games a week and travel all over North America?
Yeah, you can complain about it when one team's doing it and another team's not. It's been some rosters over the year. As soon as the rosters come out every year, I go through everybody's roster. So I look at how many doubles they have, how many, how much rest days they have. I mean, I know some teams have been some glorious, glorious rosters over the years, and then I'm playing double bag ups, and yeah, it does matter.
Okay. I don't understand Brisbane's head coach decision. They did a big review, said they need a change. They don't want to be mediocre, and they're all about winning. And then hear that they hire from within the 4 walls. I think they needed someone new to the club, someone with a proven record like a Chase Buford would have been #1 priority for me.
Chase would have been great. I don't think Chase would come back, though. I don't think it's something he'd be interested in. But, we don't know if Stu can coach. We literally have to wait. They have a feeling that he can. Yeah. So we don't know that he can. I know how many people were naysayers when I started coaching the first year. Yeah. Why would they hire that guy?
Phil Smythe the same. He's come from nowhere. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Terry Aston asks, do you believe the NBL and clubs have a moral responsibility to their younger players to provide post-NBL career courses? Once clubs are done with younger players in their early 20s who perhaps fall short of an extended NBL career, they'll find the going difficult. Would a fund to pay for their future employment training should that be in place? I just got to say quickly, Phil Smythe, when he was coaching, he had a 3-year rule for young guys. If in 3 years you hadn't made it onto the team, into the rotation and we're playing, he would suggest maybe it's time to look somewhere else if you're still on that 9, 10, 11, 12 sort of thing.
Yeah. I would never cap somebody and say, you got to go after X number of years. I mean, in that case, I don't have a basketball career, so I wouldn't think that that's good. But I do think training for them and job, placement and stuff like that is important, because some of these guys make $100,000. And Adam Gibson's a prime example. He probably made $100,000, over $100,000 for most of his career. And when you get through playing, you find out how hard it is to make $100,000.
Yeah, yes.
It's not easy to make $100,000. And so them knowing that going into life would be very good versus them, 2 or 3 years after going, shit, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Dwayne Nelson said that to me once when he bumped into me after his really good career at the 36ers and North Melbourne Giants. And he said, man, I was on holidays for 20 years. Now I know what working's like. Yeah. Let's talk some NBA, and the big news this week was the Denver Nuggets sacking coach Michael Malone with 3 games left. They're 47 and 35. They won the championship in 2023. What do you think about this?
It's a lot that goes on behind the closed doors, so we can't speak on that if something transpired, but what we can speak on is if this is based on just winning and losing at this particular time, you don't fire a guy like Coach Malone. Like, I've actually had a lot of time to spend with him. I've been around him, visiting him a couple times, and look at what he does. He's a brilliant coach. His dad was a brilliant coach, and I've had time to spend with him as well. So I have a affinity towards that family. Yeah. But I still think in today's world right now, we just fire the coach. That's just the first thing. That's just the first thing you do, and then you start doing damage control after that. I don't think that's always the way, and I think it sends a bad message to your players. And with players see coaches being rotated in and out, they're not as committed to the team as they would be.
Right. Okay, and just a reminder on Netflix, Court of Gold and Running Point. Running Point's a comedy. Court of Gold is a very good documentary. Check it out.
You work for Netflix now?
Gather around, because we're gathering around for Gather Around. This is as close as I could come to a Geelong cap, number 28, Ollie Dempsey, and Joey's got the Adelaide Crows cap because he's a huge Crows fan.
Let's step back on that. I'm a huge Geelong fan, but since we had two of them in one hat, I decided to let the younger guy have it.
Okay, so what we're going to do is have a little bit of a retrospective of your career. We found this John Casey, friend of the show and a guest previously and probably in the future, put up a little bit of footage that we're just going to take a little bit of a look at here.
Of course, Brisbane are hoping to bring Joey Wright in as their new coach. He was, incidentally, a former Geelong Supercat. Here he is in action, still in the NBL records for free throws taken. Took 25 of them one night, hit 24 against the Melbourne Tigers, Andrew.
Yeah, I remember that game quite clearly because you can guarantee we were complaining to the refs about Joey going to the line that many times, but he was a very solid, smart point guard and had a great collegiate career, and I guess it remains to be seen how he's going to turn out as a coach. His career was cut short a little bit because of knee problems.
Here's when he last played here, top 10 in the league in scoring and assists.
So you took 25 free throws, you made 24. I'm guessing...
Is it more than that? Or is that the record? I thought it was more than that. But
no, that's the record. But were you flopping a bit in that game to get to get to the line that many times? You must have done the head throwback and all that stuff.
I had two defensive specialists on me that game.
Warwick Giddy and
Andrew Gaze and Leonard Copeland.
Oh, that's why you got to the line. They'll grab you as you go past.
They just wanted to get back down on the other end and shoot the ball. They didn't care about how many free throws. Andrew was just mad because for finally once somebody got more free throws in the game than him. That's usually the rule. Andrew gets the most free throws. But
yeah. What about the clothes they were wearing? John Casey, Steve Cuffey.
What about the cardboard uniforms we were wearing? They were stiff as I don't know what.
Now, also, just another fantastic bit of footage that's come up this week. Tyler Harvey, whether he's flying high with the Illawarra Hawks or swimming low with the Shanghai Sharks, he's still getting it done. Check this out. He comes off a screen at the end of the game for Shanghai, high in between the top of the key and the centre circle, comes around, steps in, sticks the three, they win on the siren. They got everyone running around. It's like it was.
He's going to always take that shot, though. That's the thing about it. He takes big shots, he misses big shots, but he's going to take them.
How about that? It's a good thing for the Hawks that he's coming back when he can do that in any country.
But I really think his transformation was Coach Tatum. Like to me, I thought he was probably closer to done than not, and he looks like he can play another 4 or 5 years the way he's been playing lately.
Yeah, I agree. Under the previous coach, I thought he had no conscience. Yeah. He was allowed to do whatever he wanted to do with Jacob Jackamas and even with Gorgian before that. But Tatum's turned him into a player. It's very good to see.
Yeah, he's playing both ends of the court, making passes, knocking shots down. It's great, and they can go over there and play in that Chinese league and really make some summer league money and do well.
All right, and we'll be back next week. Again, don't forget, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave some comments. We're probably going to be talking mostly about Melbourne United and where they're going next week, with maybe a little bit about Perth will be our focus. So look forward to seeing you then.